We want to work together. We want to build upon what we're doing. We want to share our resources and share information because it's all about serving the audience and serving the people that really need to hear the story. Hey, you amazing person, you. Welcome back to another episode of Woman Behind the Lens. My name is Dija, and I'm so glad you're here today. Today is part 3 of a series on how to make impact with your film. In the last episode, I talked about how film actually makes a change, like how it changes a person's brain and how it changes behavior. And in this episode, I want to talk about how you can actually lead people in that change. So today I want to specifically focus on creating impact campaigns. So an impact campaign is actually a strategy that you create to take your film from creating the cultural conditions for change to actually taking it and making social impact. You want to get your audience to go out and make change and go beyond their communities and their work and their life and really go out and make a difference in the world. So the impact campaign is actually kind of separate from your film in that it needs its own budget. And that's when you usually hire an impact producer to run your campaign. And sometimes you might want to get a whole team together. But I know that that is not always viable when you're a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker. Like for me, I really was the person trying to come up with the ways that we were going to make a difference. And as I've grown, I've been able to bring in other people to kind of brainstorm ways to make a difference and then start to implement those things. You want to think about it as an event that has different activations, just like you would go to a conference and maybe you would see people selling their books or their jewelry or some other products alongside the speaker, and you're going to breakout rooms and different types of things. They have different activations to help people get different touch points in different ways, so that it's attracting a lot of different people. So right now I'm involved in a master's program. It's called Social Practice Art. And one thing we talked about is creative placemaking. And with creative placemaking, one of the things you want to think about is having 10 different touch points for your audience so that you can draw in all kinds of people to get involved in your event. And so you want to kind of think about your film screening as more of an event than just a screening. So some different things that we've done and is quite common is doing film panels. We did that with my film Love Jordan. We brought in some professionals that are in the mental health field. We brought in a faith leader, our community leader, our mayor, and different people to have conversations and youth around the topic of Love Jordan, which is youth and mental health and suicide ideation. We also had a panel discussion with my film Breathe that people really responded well to. Breathe was an anti-gun violence film, essentially. It did tell a story that I connected to and a lot of people connected to. And you'd be surprised how many people can actually connect with this topic. And so my actors and the people in the film actually have had experiences around gun violence, unfortunately, but fortunately they were in a place where they could talk about their experiences, and we were able to get people in the audience to talk back. And so it was really great. I really heard some wonderful feedback from people that they enjoyed it and they really felt like, this is what film should be about. And that made me really happy. Another thing we've done is had resource tables. One thing with my film Love Jordan is we were able to talk to a wide variety of audiences, from suburban churches to urban churches to immigrant kids. Everyone was able to relate to this topic. And so one thing we did was talk to a nonprofit called NAMI, which is the National Association of Mental Illness. And they were able to bring a resource table to one of the urban churches. And they were really excited because that's a population that they don't get to reach all the time. Another thing you want to think about is maybe creating digital campaigns. You might want to think about ways that you can get people online or engaging with your social media, sharing resources and activations there as well. You can get really creative. Other digital resources you can think about is creating a website where there's more resources. You can put your film there. You can have other interactions. You can get other nonprofits involved and give them a presence on your website. And you can also include educational resources, some best practice guides. We were able to even create some Bible studies to go along with some of my films and really get people talking about the films and deeper issues and spiritual issues in the home with their family. So now you know what an impact campaign is for your film. How do you actually build one out? Just like you need to know the goal of your film when you start out. For example, do you want to distribute your film on YouTube? Do you want to put it in film festivals? Do you want to try to sell your film? You need to understand what your impact goals are from the very beginning so that you know when you're successful, and you also know how to communicate with your partners, your nonprofit partners, and you guys can actually come up with the steps and strategies and milestones together, and then you know when you're successful and your communication can be smooth with each other. The next thing you want to do is identify the people and the organizations that are already working on these issues and figure out how you can work together. You want to have a dialogue with them and see how your film can advance their work. You want to work with the experts on an issue and work with them to create resources, educational pieces, and appropriate action-oriented pieces as well. Number 2, you want to have enough time to plan and implement your impact campaign. It can take months to plan and implement the impact side of your film. So while you are working on your film, you want to have your impact producer working on the strategy, building the partnerships, building the relationships, and planning the events that you're going to put on so that you can create impact. You also want to take the time, like if you want to build a website, if you want to create digital resources, it all takes time. So make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to do all of that. You also want enough time to build up momentum and awareness and buzz around your film and your campaign. Number 3, you want to know the audience that you're trying to reach with your campaign. For example, for my next project, we're specifically doing a project around second-generation immigrants, youth of color, and it's very specific. We know the audience we're trying to reach, and so therefore we can target our resources, our campaign, our screenings, our panel discussions, our activities towards that particular audience. You also want to research what platforms your audiences are engaged in and connect with them on those platforms. You also want to connect with your potential partners on those platforms and start conversations and really connect with them. You also want to understand what advocacy is already happening around your issues. If you understand what's already going on and staying current with what's happening, you'll be able to have a better context for when you're designing your impact campaign. You'll be able to connect with the players in that space. You'll be able to build upon, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, about things that are already out there. And therefore, you can be someone that's bringing people together, bringing work together, instead of kind of working in the siloed mindset, which doesn't work in this space. We want to work together. We want to build upon what we're doing. We want to share our resources and share information, because it's all about serving the audience and serving the people that really need to hear the story. Remember, you don't want to create your call to actions without getting the experts involved. Remember, our job as social impact entertainment filmmakers is really to shed the light on the issue and figure out how we can support and advance the work of the people that are on the ground doing the work every day. We're here as a support. We're here to shed light on the issue. We're here to tell really great, engaging stories that connect with people, build compassion, and get your audience ready and primed to go out and take action. And lastly, I want to encourage you to not feel afraid to start small. It can seem really overwhelming, everything that I just said. I mean, you're already trying to put together a movie. How are you going to create a whole impact campaign and implement it and handle 2 teams? Well, I want you to just take a deep breath and don't be afraid to start small. One way that we started in the beginning was simply just talking to people afterwards. That's how I started. I just simply would take the time to really talk to the audience members, get a one-to-one conversation with them, and kind of get their feedback. The next level is having a panel discussion afterwards. It doesn't have to be long, but you can gather a few experts or a few people that have experience in that area that you're made your movie about, and just have a small discussion on it and get your audience involved. Then the next film, I expanded more by having an art installation and then maybe bringing in a resource table and things like that. So you can start small. You can even use your one film and have multiple screenings and then build with each screening. So just take a deep breath, and start small and just get creative. Think about ways that you can meet people face to face and start there, heart to heart, and then grow from there. Social impact entertainment is really a long game, and that's okay because honest, authentic change, it doesn't happen overnight. And we really need you. We need your stories. We need your heart to make change and make the world a better place.